Hello and welcome back to another video, and welcome to what is my absolute pride and joy. And I tell you what, I don't own this thing without a bit of sacrifice. I could live in a nicer house, I could take a few more holidays per year if it wasn't for owning this car. But I tell you what, I'd do it again and again. A lot of people might think that's a bit mental, sacrificing for a car, but I mean, look at it, I get to own my childhood poster car. Now obviously, owning a 25-year-old Ferrari, it isn't all plain sailing, and that's what I thought we could get into a little bit today. Talk about some of the high and low lights of having such a car. So let's get into it. So in order to really talk about the highlights of this car, I need to take it out on the road. I need to take you a drive. So we'll get to that in the latter half of this video. Let's kick off with the low points, and how very apt that I happen to have the service binder in my hand. So over the last year, since the previous service, the car's covered about 2,000–3,000 miles, which is probably about average, probably a little higher than average for a car of this type. And it's behaved perfectly. It's not put a foot wrong, not so much as a check engine light. It's been perfectly reliable. But even then, the expense will still catch up with you on these cars. So let me give you a bit of a rundown on what we had done. The car's just come back from having this done. So service, annual service, check all lights, levels, suspension, wheel bearings, renew engine oil, renew coolant, pressure test the coolant, screen wash, water levels, check clutch, torque, wheels. Relatively normal stuff, isn't it? So that, inclusive of that, I'll give you all the prices inclusive of that, was £780. 2 shock absorber bushes on the front seem to be worn. They were £79 plus 15 VAT, so £95 a piece. Brake pads, front brake pads were worn, £124. I'll put some overlays so you can see these components that were swapped out, by the way. Next up, Hill Engineering ball joints. Now, for anyone who knows these cars, you know they like to wear out ball joints. Now, what Ferrari used on these were rose joints in the suspension, and they're fantastic for feel, fantastic for precision. They make the car feel great to drive, but they do wear out every 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 miles. You're swapping these ball joints out, and they come in at £300. Now, to go with them, you need the ball joint glue, the special adhesive that holds it in place. That was £87.60. Lower boots, £93. Postage and packing, £24. Labour, £417, and I got the car MOT'd while it was gone as well. That was only 30 quid, bargain. So that is a total of £1,952.18. That's with nothing on the car broken, a couple of wear components needing replaced, and a service. That figure, £2,000 or thereabout, that's probably realistically about the minimum amount that you can expect to spend servicing a car like this year on year. Obviously, if those wear components don't need to be replaced, if you've not really been using the car, then it's going to be a little bit less than that, but some years it can be quite a bit more. And as someone who can afford the maintenance but is still going to feel a £2,000, £3,000, £4,000, £5,000 bill, of which there's many in this binder, it brings me on to my first major gripe with owning a car like this. And that is that this world of looking after and maintaining a Ferrari can absolutely exploit what is your apparent wealth. Now, as I said at the beginning of this video, I'm by no means a wealthy individual. I own my dream car with some sacrifice. Now, to give a basis of comparison, I've previously owned Audi R8s, Nissan GTRs. Now, if you take the GTR, for instance, I don't think I ever spent more than £400 or £500 on its maintenance for any given year. The car was covering substantially more miles than this. Okay, it was half this car's age. And people will argue, well, you can't compare a Nissan to a Ferrari. Well, why not? I mean, the GTR is a serious high performance machine. It would run rings around this car dynamically from a performance point of view. So why can't it be in some ways comparable? Now, for right or wrong, I've totted up how much it's cost to maintain the car over the last 25 years of its life. And don't get me wrong, this is a meticulously cared for car. Maybe some of them are going to be a little bit less than this, but any guesses? £1,000. That comes to about £2,300 per year, a little bit more than £2,300 per year, not taking into account inflation. In any way you spin it, that is an enormous amount of money for a car that's only covered 35,000 miles, isn't it? And perhaps the worst of all is, certain individuals you'll talk to, and I've done this, if you dare question any of this or bring it up or say you're not thrilled about having to pay this much for routine servicing and replacement wear components, you'll very quickly be told, well, it's a Ferrari, you should expect it to cost this money. That's just the price you need to pay to play. If you don't like it, go off and buy a Toyota. Well, I understand, but when what we're talking about here is basic stuff, looking through this history binder, there's nothing substantial that's gone wrong in this car's history. It really has just been wear components and routine servicing. So I'm not so sure we should be paying such exorbitant prices. So why then do we do it? Why do we put ourselves through it? Well, that's going to be a very individual answer, isn't it? Each owner would probably have a different one to tell you. But for me, I do it because the cars, well, they're incredible. For me, it represents nostalgia, it represents achievement, it represents the fruits of a lot of hard work. If you're a Ferrari fan and a petrol head, I mean, there's nothing better than owning one, is there? Every single time you get behind the wheel, it's an event. And so far, no cars ever came close to that for me. It's not the fastest, but it's emotional, it's visceral, it's dramatic. It's little wonder it really suckers owners like me in, isn't it? Now, another big plus, and this is an important one because it brings a bit of balance to that extortionate maintenance cost that I was talking about. The residuals of a Ferrari like this, a slightly older manual Rosso Corsa car, is certainly not going to see much in the way of depreciation. In fact, they're actually starting to creep back up again. I did buy this car for an exceptionally good deal, so that definitely helps. I think I'm always going to be in the green. The car's worth quite a bit more than it owes me, even taking into account those servicing costs that we spoke about. If nothing else, it certainly takes a bit of the sting off having to hand garages a chunk of your hard-earned. Right, now for the biggest reason as to why we do it to ourselves, we need to get this thing out on the road, so let's do that. You know, I talked to my fiance quite a bit, just in a similar way as to how we've been chatting here today, just about the servicing of the car, and it's quite expensive and blah blah, that kind of thing. I hope this video is coming across all right as well, by the way. Do let me know in the comments below what you think. It's far more conversational, far more casual than we usually do on this channel. And yeah, usually our focus is on good bang for buck, good economical, reliable cars. This is obviously quite a departure from that, but hopefully you can see this is my pride and joy. This is what I love. I use it sparingly and I thoroughly enjoy it every time I do. So hopefully you can see that. I just wanted to share a bit of that with you. But yes, when I chat to her about it, she always says one thing, and it's, you need to go drive the car. If I start to moan a bit about the money and the price of it and that kind of thing, and I'm not using it much, she'll say, you need to go drive that car. And she's absolutely right, because every time I get in this and fire it up, all those thoughts just fade away. Now hopefully you're going to be able to hear me as we get out on the road here. It is a little bit noisy. You know, one other thing I often think about is, you know, this is a year 2000 car. The 360 came out a couple of years before that. You think about our roads, think about the absolute crap that was on the roads back then. Now obviously there was a lot of nice cars as well, sporty Fords and stuff. There was a lot of nice stuff, but there was some absolute trash on the roads back then, wasn't there? And the reason I say that is you see one of these now, I think they're still an impressive car today, but back then people must have been like, what on earth is this spaceship coming down the road? I feel like it would have had more presence, more of a wow factor than modern Ferraris today. That's just me. Right, let's get moving. First quirk of the car to tell you about, it will not go into second gear when it's cold. I mean, it will if you totally jam it, but you're far better off just getting the revs up in first, going straight to third, letting the car get a bit of heat in it before you attempt that second gear. Can make situations like this quite tricky, where I'm approaching a roundabout doing 15 miles an hour. I end up just running on the tick over to get the car out at roundabouts and junctions like that. Second little quirk you're only going to notice when you get behind the wheel of one of these cars, everything in the door bins rattles like crazy. So Ferrari had this bright idea, because this was the first car to use a lot of aluminium in its construction. The older cars, the 355, that used steel. This was aluminium, so it was far lighter. And as a little homage to that, what they done is they made the door cards, at the bottom at least anyway, where the bins are, they made them out of aluminium. So if you dare put your phone or anything in it whatsoever, it rattles like crazy. How Italian's that? Can you hear it? Here's another thought that I had, and I'd like to get your input on it. I need to try and stop that rattle. That is abysmal in my right hand ear. I spoke about these cars creeping up in value a little bit, and they are doing so. It's by no means a massive spurt up in value, but they are creeping up. Maybe one day they are going to be worth considerably more than they are now. At what point do you stop driving it on the roads? You know as well as me, bad roads. You're driving in between White Van Man and Karen over there, who's cheating on her husband and isn't really thinking about driving the car. She's more just thinking about not getting caught. And you're here in your pride and joy, which is now substantially more money, becomes a very, very expensive asset. Where do you draw the line? It's hard, isn't it? Because this car conceivably could be approaching the price. Well, it is approaching some house prices here in Scotland. So where do you draw that line? 90,000, 100,000? I don't know, it's hard to judge, isn't it? And that's sad, because a car should always remain a car. It should always be something to take out and drive and enjoy and have fun with. A car like this, at least, anyway. Something else I'll add is we are doing this at school kicking out time, and I'll try and show you. It's YouTube. Scottish Car Clan. Yeah, it is definitely part of it, and if you don't want that, maybe don't be buying a red Ferrari. That was me when I was that age. I will never not engage with kids looking for me to rev it. It's just what you need to do. It's a social obligation. I will, at this point, just remain uncharacteristically quiet, okay? Let the car do the talking. Yeah, there's a rawness to these cars that you just don't get in the likes of an R8. I'm not picking on an R8, I think an R8's an exceptional car as well, but where they are a little bit more refined, where they are a little bit more insulated from the experience, the Ferrari is not. For good or bad, it's just the way that these cars were made. I guess being a little bit older maybe helps that as well, but you can hear the throttle bodies open, you can hear the induction sound. And I'm certain the camera's doing it no justice, but it's just a wonderful mechanical experience, and it's so true. You drive it like that, and the idea that £2,000 bill, it just fades away. You're not thinking about it all of a sudden. It's magic, that, isn't it? Glorious, glorious thing. Well, look, thank you so much for tuning into this video. I'm not too sure what this video is. It's a bit hash bash, isn't it? I'll put my sport mode off. Could you believe that a 90s car came with adaptive suspension? I was amazed by that. Anyway, yes, as I was saying, thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you for the next one.